Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of the Truth. It's still the 8th of May 2018. So I saw the Black Panther movie. You're probably thinking, why am I talking about that? The aspect that I want to talk about to do with that movie is it's interesting how the storyline is. There's two aspects I want to talk about. One is the idea of the baddie. I can't remember his name now. He wants to. Oh well, there's going to be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, stop now. But he's bad because he wants to empower all. Now I don't know whether it's the black people or the Wakandan people, whatever the name is of their species, who happen to be black. So that they can fight back. So, because he believes that they're oppressed, whereas the Black Panther, he believes that, they should only interfere, although he doesn't say it, one of his people says it, that they should only interfere when necessary. So basically, this guy, he's bad because he wants to stand up against people who have unjustly put him in a lower position. So this obviously is a racial thing they're talking about. And it's interesting how that's seen as a bad trait, standing up for yourself, for your own people. Obviously they sort of colour it a little bit by him making out that he wants to, well, I don't know if he actually ever says it, but that he wants to kill all the, I assume they mean like the white people, so that the black people can have back their land and their rights and be treated equally. Oh my God, that's such a bad thing, isn't it? And at the very beginning, there's a very good point that he makes. And this is, I don't know what, this to me, it seemed like I cheered when he said this, that, I was surprised that this was in a movie, that he goes to a British museum, and he picks up a piece where he's talking to one of the curators, who's a white lady, and he says about, she says something factually incorrect about the piece. And he says, no, it's this, that, and the other, it's Byzantium or whatever. And then he says he's going to take it. And she says, oh, it's not for sale. And then he says something like, well, did the people who stole this pay a good price? And there's a very important thing that he's trying to say, that, all these artifacts that have been stolen from Africa or wherever they were stolen from, Egypt, there's lots of these things where white people went into these countries and they took these artifacts and then they stick them in their own museums. They didn't pay for them, they stole them. They won't use that word stole, they will use the word as procured, or they're showing it so that everyone can see the civilization, and they're doing a good thing. They'll never give it back though, will they, to the people if they demand it back, saying, oh, it's ours, why have you got it? There's many cases where the British museums are in arguments over that with countries that want, I think wasn't it Greece, they wanted something back. So, and he's supposed to be the baddie, yet really what he's doing is he's standing up for his people, and he's standing up for what's true and what's right. So it's interesting how this movie was trying to make you feel that being a person who would, obviously I understand like the aspect of like killing people, because he wanted to arm them more. So, but he didn't necessarily say to kill them, but obviously that was the implication. The implication of killing people, yes, obviously that is a bad thing, but the implication that is attached to that, which I think was done purposely, is that being someone who stands up against authority, being someone who, whereas the Black Panther's side is that, it's happened and let's all just be peaceful with each other and find a way. Well, yeah, that's fair if everyone's equal, but everyone's not equal, are they? And that's what he was trying to argue, that their black brothers are not equal. They're not equal in the US, they're not equal in the UK, they're not equal even sometimes in their own countries, like, say, South Africa. And that's not the way it should be, yet this film, and that's why I was worried about that side of that storyline, because this film is being seen as something of, the first black superhero, although it's not first because there's Blade, obviously, that's already come out, on movies. Although this is from a Stan Lee, Jack Kirby comic strip from Marvel. from the 60s. But the fact that it's meant to try and empower black people, but I see this film as being as not an empowering film, because also the fact that it has like the stereotypical people wearing, you know, traditional clothing, jumping up and down and fighting for tribal reasons. There was a lot of very, very stereotypical stuff in there that to me was, it's interesting how it is a story that was created by two white people. And I mean, I know it, like that movie is written and directed by black people, but I don't think that movie empowers black people. I think that the message is that hidden within, you know, that they see a black superhero and they think, yeah, that's great, you know, be like him, be like the Black Panther. What? Be like the Black Panther, you know, settle down and let your people not be rise up against the people who are putting them down. Anyway, maybe I'm being a bit extreme with that, but that's how I saw it. The other thing I was thinking of before is like the idea of that a lot of people say, and even I've said it, like the governments and this, that and the other, and authority is a bad thing, you know, that what they do and how they, you know, all the things that I've mentioned previously. And then I was thinking about, well, authority not necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's the abuse of it, because we do need some form of authority. If everyone just did whatever they wanted, although in a certain degree we should be free to do that, but the problem is with that freedom is that it can be abused. Like, for example, if everyone, you know, if we say that everyone can do whatever they want to do and they want to go and kill someone, well, that's a problem, isn't it? Because it could be your family member that gets killed, or want to abuse someone, it could be your family member that gets abused. So we do need some form of authority to protect and to administer justice and judgment, or protection, or you know, rehabilitation, or whatever aspect it is. We do need some form of authority. The problem is the authority that we have around the world is one that is only its best interest is itself and its people, rather than the general populace. So yeah, I was thinking about that. So sometimes we do berate authority, but the problem is it's the authorities that exist currently, not the aspect of authority. We do need that in some sense, but it's unfortunate that the people that tend to be part of it are people that are not very just and are often as corrupt as the criminals. Isn't that what they say about criminals? You know, that if you don't want to be a criminal, then the next best thing is being a police. And the other thing I was thinking about was like the idea of how we see life and how we hold on to grudges, and you know, we hold on to the past and things like that, when our life is linear in the sense that it goes day by day, although these days were made up by people. But we can't rewrite history, so why do we hold on to those things? Why do we get worked up? And I was thinking about that we shouldn't really. We should, because it doesn't actually help anything, because you only have one life. So why lead that life being angry or being held back by those things? But it's the same as I was thinking myself, that I'm not a very confident person, but there's lots of things I wish I could do in my life that, you know, if I had the choice, I would, you know, say have my own TV station or have my own newspaper or whatever, you know, harking back to days when I was young and thinking that I'd want to do that, because I used to do that as a kid for my family, make my own newspaper or make my own radio programs with my sister. And there's nothing really stopping me other than myself, but the problem is that's the greatest force that each individual has. But yeah, it's interesting how we do hold grudges, even though there's nothing we can do to go back and stop that thing from happening, and one day we'll all be dead. The other thing, just to go on to movies, the other thing is another thing about how we see things. We see things as group, individual versus group, in the sense, I was just thinking about like a movie. When you say a movie's been made, and they'll always credit the director, sometimes the writer, but it's usually the director. You know, they say, you know, like, I don't know, Alfred Hitchcock did Psycho. But wait a minute, Alfred Hitchcock did Psycho. Did Alfred Hitchcock do Psycho? Well, yeah, he directed it, but wait a minute, there was probably like 200 people that actually made that movie with him that he wouldn't have been able to make without them. But we forget all those people. We only remember him. And it's another part of this idea of hero worship, this and the other. But something is like a lie in plain sight, we tell that lie. You know, we say, oh yeah, that was Alfred Hitchcock's film, or that's John Carpenter's film, or that's Steven Spielberg's film, and he did that. But he didn't really do that. He may come up with the idea, he may have directed it and told the person do this, do that. But what about all the other thousands of people that were needed to actually make this movie? But no one remembers them. And obviously the only one who has any power is that individual. And it's a shame that that's the way that we lie in society about things. And that's how usually it's groups that have the power over the individual, but in this case the individual has the power over the groups, because the group of people that made that movie, no one will remember them. People don't even sit down to watch their names come up on the screen. Yeah, and I think that's basically all I wanted to talk about. There is another subject, but I think I'm going to save that for another time. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Take care, take it easy. God bless and peace.